If you've been wondering whether the new Rare Beauty foundation is actually worth the hype, especially on a more mature skin, then you are going to want to watch this video. Because for the last few days, I've been testing this foundation out and leaving no stone unturned. Today, I'm going to be doing a full wear test and I am going to hold nothing back. We're talking texture, fine lines, pores, dryness, longevity, all of the things that a lot of other reviews conveniently forget to mention as they're only doing a first impressions review. And here's the interesting part. Whilst testing this, I couldn't help but think about the original Estée Lauder Double Wear, the one that we all loved before they changed the formula. So is this a hidden gem for mature skin, or is it just another foundation that looks fantastic for 5 minutes and then disappears into every fine line and wrinkle that you didn't even know you had? Let's find out. So this is the Rare Beauty True to Myself Natural Matte Longwear Foundation. It's going to set you back £36 in the UK and you get the standard 30ml or 1 fluid ounce. This comes in a plastic bottle, it looks chic, it's got a pump and it's got a lock on it, so this is going to be great for travel, and it's a thick, creamy consistency when you dispense it from the bottle. This comes in 48 shades and I've gone for the shade 6, which I've got to say I think is a little bit too fair for me. Usually I go for foundations that are in the fair light category. This one is just fair. The ones that were in the light category were a little bit too deep for me, but I think I need to go back into store and do a little bit more digging of which one is going to suit me best. This is going to give you a good medium coverage and a natural matte finish. It's alcohol-free, fragrance-free, vegan and cruelty-free, and it's a 3-in-1 foundation, so it's supposed to prime, it's supposed to be your foundation, and it's also self-setting, so no need for powder. The one thing I want to reiterate throughout this video is that application technique is key with this foundation. Don't apply too much. This is very similar to the original Estée Lauder Double Wear in the sense that it dries down really quickly, you need to work in sections, and a sponge, especially for mature skin, if you have a little bit of dryness, is always going to be the best method of application. Now, I obviously didn't know this when I first picked up the foundation in Space NK, so came home, was desperate to try it and slapped it on with a brush, which is my favorite method of application. And although it looked superb at first, it started to look very heavy throughout the day, and it started to separate around my chin area, also around my nose area, and look very heavy and cakey in between my brows. Now, another reason that happened is because this is a matte foundation, I thought this was going to be super drying, and because of that, I lathered skincare more than I would usually do on my face before I applied the foundation. That is not necessary. This is not a drying formula, although if you do have super dry skin, I probably wouldn't recommend this for you. Not only is this a matte foundation that hydrates, and I am so sick and tired of those dewy, glowy foundations being churned out time after time after time, and I know so many people love that, but I'm a matte girl. I like a natural matte, not a flat matte. I want something that's going to last on me throughout the day and something that isn't going to emphasize my texture, which glowy foundations tend to do. This is the foundation that Estée Lauder should have come up with when they were reformulating the Estée Lauder Double Wear. It can be done, Estée Lauder. Here it is. This is smoothing and airbrushing even when applied very sparingly with a sponge, and I do try and apply this as sparingly as physically possible and then build it up in areas that I feel I need a little bit more coverage. It went on so beautifully, although I did struggle to apply this to the end of my nose. It took a few tries to get this to adhere to the skin on the end of my nose for some reason. I have no idea why, but it's done that for the last few days. This feels super lightweight on my skin, which seriously surprised me, and I'll tell you why. The viscosity of this formula, the foundation itself, when you pump it onto the back of your hand, it's really thick, it stands proud, it's not moving anywhere. It looks like a really thick, heavy formula. It doesn't feel like that when it transfers to the skin at all. The other thing that it's lacking is that really dry, tight feeling that other matte foundations can give me. I didn't get any of that at all, and I've been wearing this solidly for the last 4 days. This is also not a radiant foundation masquerading as a matte matte foundation. No, 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 no. This stays matte for much, much longer than a lot of other matte foundations that I've had on my skin. Yes, it is a natural matte, so you are going to get a little bit of glow, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I really don't like those foundations that are very, very flat matte, and generally flat matte foundations are even more drying than other matte foundations, and this one is not at all. It just looks like my skin, only flawless. My skin looks flawless. I've had this on my skin for a good few hours now before I sat down to film this because, you know, I was hungry and I really needed some lunch. However, you can see here it has not sank into my fine lines, any wrinkles. It's not gone cakey around my problem areas, which generally is my nose and in between my brows. What I will say is I do have a bit of dryness in the crack of my chin, and as you can see, it's not sat really beautifully within that dryness. I've also got a lot of dryness around here, which is why I wouldn't recommend this for super, super dry skin. If you have a little bit of dry skin on your skin, then this should be okay, but a lot of it, probably not. This doesn't oxidize. It is a super long wearing foundation, and I have applied this strategically today because I'm going to a Sheffield United football match later. I applied this first thing this morning. The football match doesn't start until 8 o'clock tonight and it doesn't finish until 10. I want this to look nice for a long, long time, and I know after the wear test that I've done over the last few days, I know it won't let me down. So final thoughts. I really like this foundation and it will remain one of my top foundations for flawless coverage. But there is a but. And before you all think this is going to be the perfect foundation for you and go out and buy it, I do need to warn you, this does take quite a long time to apply for me. Application of choice for me is always going to be a brush. I can't apply this with a brush. It just applies too heavily with a brush. You have to apply this with a damp sponge to get a really natural finish. And it takes time. You have to work in sections because this dries down so quickly with it being a self-setting formula. If I was in a rush first thing in the morning, this would not be the foundation that would be my go-to. I would have to pick something else because I have to concentrate way too much when I'm applying this because it is a bit finicky. So if finicky foundations aren't for you, this one definitely is one to give a miss. If you have normal to oily skin, I think you're going to really like this foundation. Also, if you have a little bit of dryness on your skin, also, this is a lovely foundation. A lot of dryness, like I've reiterated all the way through, probably this isn't going to be for you. It doesn't look as appealing, as fresh, as just airbrushing on my dry areas, which are around here and in here. It doesn't look as nice. I am going to be going down to Space NK tomorrow and I'm going to be searching out my correct shade because yeah, I thought this was the correct shade, but it's just not for me. It's a little bit too fair. So have you tried this foundation already? If you have, please let everybody know your experiences, your thoughts, your feelings in the comment section, because I think this is going to be a really love it foundation or a despise it foundation for the many. And I would love to get a poll going and seeing how many of you love it and how many of you really don't get on with it. I really like it. I've got a feeling my mum is not going to really like this because she likes to slap the foundation on and go, and this is just too long-winded for her. So, you know, I will give it her to try though. I will give it her to try and we'll see what she thinks. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification and give this video a share before you leave. Hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.